Hi, my name is Gregory DeQueer, and today I'm going to be telling you about our project for improvements that we want to make to the Waitr delivery app. For our scope, we want to talk about the fact that Waitr is a local company to Louisiana. Lake Charles, in particular, is where their headquarters is located. So, with them being more of a local company, we wanted to focus on making their improvements so that when they do start to expand, they won't run into these issues that they have as of right now. Because the issues that we're going to be discussing are small, they don't sound like a big deal, but especially if Waitr starts to expand, even now, these issues can blow up very quickly and mean ruin for the company. The interface for the company isn't bad per se, like especially on the customer side. Customers didn't really have any complaints about using the app. They felt it was very intuitive and easy. And even for drivers, it's very intuitive and easy. For customers, there was just one piece of information that they wanted to be able to see, and drivers were getting very upset because there's some information that's missing for them that they feel they really need to do their job properly. And for the completion time of this, we hope to have it done within 2 months for testing, implementation, and everything. Now, when we get to our prior SWOT analysis that we looked at before we did anything or came up with any ideas, we found that, the fact that Waitr is a smaller company is both a strength and a weakness. It is easy to make updates and easier to track what's going on due to the fact that everything is more focused. Everything is just in this area. But with it being like that, their customer base and their restaurant base is much smaller than offerings in other services such as Uber Eats and DoorDash, for instance. And that's why, other well-known competitors is a threat, because once you start losing drivers, which is also a threat, they're going to seek employment elsewhere. And there are other services such as Uber Eats and DoorDash which are offering this increased information and better features for drivers. And once the driver leaves the company, their chances of returning is very slim, especially if they're doing the same exact thing for another company and getting paid well to do it. And then we have to be careful of the pandemic ending, because more people are going to be eating out, and we want them to be able to tackle that issue once it starts to become a problem, which it might not become too big of an issue, but it's just something to keep on the scope for Waitr to watch out for. And for opportunities, like we talked about, where we need to expand, we need them to increase their social media presence, which actually, for the past couple days, maybe it's just because I've been searching Waitr so much, I have seen more social media ads for them, which is nice, but they still need to expand beyond that as why you want to use their service. And I think they should push the fact that they are a local company more so, which may convince people to use Waitr as a service versus Uber Eats and DoorDash for now, because Waitr is located in Lake Charles as a headquarters versus Uber and DoorDash. And the important thing to remember about losing drivers is that when you start to lose too many drivers, it can increase your delivery times. And with Waitr, customers were noticing that their deliveries were taking longer to get to them. And with other services like Uber Eats and DoorDash, that just wasn't as big of an issue, because whenever the driver leaves Waitr and they go to Uber Eats or DoorDash for employment, you're shortening your competitors' delivery times and increasing your own. So increasing driver satisfaction is a major priority on that list. And then we're going to get into the current systems that drivers see as of right now when they first log in. In Figure 1, this is the screen you see once you've logged in and you swipe to start driving. It's just going to tell you that there are no orders near you. Please wait for an order to be recommended or relocate to a more populated area of town. It does nothing for helping you figure out what area of town is more busy, if there is a more busy area of town, and it just doesn't tell the driver if they should just wait or if they need to start driving around, because driving is important for a driver. Funny enough, the more you're driving and not delivering, the more gas you're burning. And then, how much gas do you need to burn before you find an order? If it needs to convey to the driver if there's somewhere they can go to start receiving deliveries. Now in Figure 2, you can see that this is the screen that they see once they do receive an order. You'll see the estimated earnings, which include all the things: base compensation, tips, surge incentives, if any. This is the total pay that you will receive for taking this delivery, and it will tell you where you're going to pick up from for that delivery. The problem with this app, with this screen, is that it allows you to accept delivery and decline delivery, but you don't really have a reason to decline ever. No delivery looks bad. Where are we taking this order is a major issue for drivers. For instance, if this was $7 and I knew it was coming from BJ's restaurant, I would think, that's a pretty good run, and so I might accept it. But then I realized after accepting it that it's going all the way to Karen Crow, which is like a 12 to 15 mile drive, and then I have to get back from Karen Crow into Lafayette to pick up more deliveries. I lose money at that point. It's going to take me 45 minutes to do this delivery, and it's $7 for my gas, my time, and everything. So I end up lower the minimum wage for the delivery. This makes drivers very, very upset when they accept deliveries and they just are losing money on them. I understand that Waitr needs them to be taken, but something needs to be done to increase driver satisfaction because they are leaving for this issue. And with customers, the only issue that they have is they just want more information, which is an issue that we wanted to tackle, because once a customer places their order, which is a very satisfying experience, they don't know anything after that. They will only receive a notification once their order is picked up by a driver, and then they just wait until their driver arrives. They don't know how long until a driver picks up their order. Once the driver does pick up their order, they don't know how long it's going to be until they arrive. Are they driving slow? Are they driving fast? Are they driving normal? The customer has no idea. So this kind of makes the customer just have to wait around and do nothing until their food arrives, because they can't go anywhere. They don't want to go. If they were having a party, for instance, they don't want to go into the back and be with their friends and our family, because if they're in the backyard and the driver knocks on the front door, who's gonna get the food? So being more open to the customer was another issue that we just wanted to tackle, so the customer is more aware of how much time they have before the driver gets there. And now I'm going to turn it over to Brianna so that she can tell you about the plans that we have to make.
Thank you, Greg, for the insights that you have just shared. My name is Brianna Dan, and I will be taking you along to learn about our possible new system that my team and I have created. For our new system, as stated previously by Greg, we would like to improve the interface for both the driver and customer apps, which will help build driver and customer satisfaction. Some specific requirements we have for drivers is to provide more information on the accept and decline order screen, as well as to help the driver choose a location to drive to. As seen in the previous slide, the order screen doesn't provide the driver with how far they need to go to deliver the food. So, in all actuality, they have absolutely no clue whether the order that they are accepting is a good or bad run. Drivers also have no clue if the nearby locations are busy or if it's just slow. We only have one specific requirement that we would like to implement for customers, and that is to give them the location of the driver once they pick up the food. Not only would they be informed on their food location, but they will be able to be ready for when the driver gets to their house. We plan to build upon the current interface that Waitr already has set in place. The demo of what we have built can be seen on this slide. Figure 3 shows the first thing we plan to build. So the first thing we want to do is show the driver which locations nearby are busy on the screen where the driver waits for an order. If any nearby locations are busy, then they can just relocate to those locations. However, if nowhere nearby is busy, then the driver will know that it is just slow at the time that they are working. This will greatly help drivers save their time and gas money, as it gives drivers an insight onto whether any areas nearby are even busy. If no nearby areas are busy, then drivers might just decide to stop working for the time being, as they aren't really making a profit. We plan to show this by having a red outline around the areas that are busy with a pin that says busy on top, as seen in figure 3. Figure 4 shows the next change we would like to make to the interface on the driver's app. The app already has the drop-off location, but it just doesn't allow the driver to see it on the accept and decline order screen. So all we plan to do is allow the driver to see the drop-off location on the order screen so that they could make a more informed decision on whether or not the run would be worth their time and gas money. I would say that this is one of the most important changes we plan to make because in our driver interviews, they said that this was one of the most frustrating things about the app. We plan to show this by just adding another pin with a home symbol to the order screen, as can be seen in figure 4. Lastly, the last change we plan to make is to the customer app, which can be seen in figure 5. The app already tracks the driver's location, so all we plan to do is to show that to the customer once the driver picks up their food. Once the driver delivers said food, we plan to stop sharing the driver's location with the customer for obvious safety reasons. We plan to show this by the customer being able to see their home pin and the driver's location via a blue circle as seen in figure 5. The plan to implement these changes are first through a testing plan, which is where we'll roll out a beta to test. For this, we will give it to only a handful of drivers, and then after they use it for about a week, we'll ask for feedback from them on how they liked or even disliked the changes. The changes being the increased information before accepting and declining orders and showing a map to inform them of busy areas. For the customer update, we will test it out in the Waitr office with a few employees as testers to ensure that the tracking works properly after the driver has picked up the order. We will then make the necessary changes needed on both the driver and customer apps based on the feedback given. Then, through an update to both the driver and customer apps, the changes will be made along with a video to help drivers and customers learn the changes that were added to the app. Now I will hand it over to Miles to help wrap up this presentation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Miles Ankelord, and I will be discussing the SWOT analysis after our implementations that we're trying to propose. I'm going to be starting with the strengths. So I'm going to start with the drivers, and then I'm going to go to the customer's perspective. So as for the drivers, our implementations will be giving more sufficient detail to the drivers. And before our implementations were made, the drivers really wouldn't know where they're going before they would make a food run. The only way they can find out where they're going is if they accept the food run, and then they can see how far they're going. But that could really lead to a lot of negative thoughts to a driver, because one, before accepting the drive, you want to know how far it is. And say you're in Lafayette, and one of your drives is going all the way to Opelousas. That could be 20 to 30 minutes away, and that run could only be $5. In the long run, it's not worth it. It's not worth the gas, nor is it worth that small price with a possibility of no tip. So by our implementation actually helping the driver, they can determine if they're going to make that run or not before they accept the food run. And also they can determine how much they're going to make. And at the end of the day, Waitr advertises that the driver gets to pick their own hours. They get to pick where they want to go. Well, by this, they can't pick where they want to go. It's more so like a gamble of saying that this might be better or it might not be good. So our implementation would be cutting that negative process out and giving the driver the full capability of deciding whether to make that drive or not. And that would improve the satisfaction as well, because that would make them happier and also give them the independency and also the consistency to know, okay, this run is actually worth my time. Because at the end of the day, drivers pick their own hours. So by them being able to choose where they want to go and be satisfied with that, that would make them want to stay more. And now for the customer. The customer, before our implementations, they had no information whatsoever about their driver and the food and their food. Honestly, they would only know when the food is picked up, when it's ready, and when it's on its way. And then when the food is there at their location, they would get a call or a text notifying them, hey, I'm outside. But with our implementation, the customer will be able to track the driver through the whole process. They'll be able to know when the driver's at the restaurant, when they got the food, when they're on their way. They could be a block away from their house, and they can know throughout the whole process when to be ready for their food. Because I already know when I'm hungry, I want to get the food right away. So I feel like by them knowing where it is, they can just be ready for it. But beforehand, for implementation, they wouldn't know. So when it comes to like, you might get some notifications saying, "Hey, it's coming," or it's on its way. A customer might have to do something. They might have to do dishes. Their phone might be dying. They might be away from their phone, so they could miss that opportunity to know where their food is, or they could have a family, and that meal could be for their family, and they might have to eat it at a prompt time. So that could build a lot of negativity with the customer when it comes to their food. It could be cold and not really good at all. So by having this implementation, the customer will be more satisfied, and they will be ready for the food, and they get more prepared for it. And as for the infrastructure, it's a lot more balanced. It's a lot more cleaner, and that's good all around. Now, when it comes to the support and helpline, both the customer and the driver have the accessibility to gain the helpline for advice and to help them with their tech problems or just any questions they need. Because to the customer, they may need help with like canceling an order, or they may need help finding what their driver is, or making a payment, whatever the case may be. Maybe they can call the helpline for that support and to get it quick. And same for the driver. If the driver doesn't know where to go, or say the driver has having some technical difficulties with their app, they can call tech support and they'll help them right away. So that's very beneficial for both the customer and the driver. Also, Waitr is a small company. It's very easy to operate compared to a bigger company where there's a lot more employees, a lot more drivers, a lot more factors involved, which makes it a lot harder to manage. But being a smaller company as it is, it helps them manage it better. Now, as for weaknesses, drivers not taking further orders. I feel like a driver would not want to make a hour drive and only make $5. That's not worth the gas money, nor is it worth the time. So that's a big weakness right now. And for customers, they don't want to pay more than they have to. Like nobody wants to pay, for a $10 meal, an extra $10 for just the service fee alone. That's more money out of your pocket. So I feel like having that factor is always going to be negative towards the company. Now, when it comes to Waitr, they do have a smaller customer base because there are a lot of other competitors out there like Uber Eats or DoorDash. They are going to have less people. So that will be a weakness for them. And that kind of goes alongside the threats. So they'll be losing drivers. They'll be losing drivers when it comes to better competitors like Uber Eats or DoorDash because they may have better services. They may have better interfaces, ways to gain more money. And at the end of the day, it's a job. So people are going to go where the money's at. So if Waitr is not competing with that, they're going to be losing drivers. And as the pandemic is ending, they'll end up losing profits because restaurants are going to be opening up more. So there'll be less need for like food delivery services because when the pandemic was at large, nobody can go out. So all they had was Uber Eats and Waitr. But now that people are going out more, that's going to be going down. But that brings us into the opportunities part of it where Waitr can gain more social media presence right now. That's a smart way to grow their company because everyone's on social media. We are a technological age right now, and everyone's looking at their phones. So if they were to expand in that presence of social media, they can get their work, they can get their name out, and they can get their services out so people understand like, hey, even though we're a small company, we're here and we're ready to help. So if they were to hop on board with that, even though they aren't on there now, they should expand it more. Go on Instagram more, go on Facebook, go on Tumblr, go on Twitter. That would be a smart move for them. And by doing that, they might get more drivers. And by getting more drivers, that means shorter delivery times, faster rates for customers. If customers get their food at a fast rate, then they're going to be getting more traction from their company. People are going to want to use them more if they're faster than Uber Eats or DoorDash. That's very beneficial for them. And the whole goal is to expand and to go nationwide. Yes, I said they're smaller, but it's always good to expand to get more places around the area. Because the more places you have around the area, the more opportunities you have. So you can expand from not just Lafayette, but you can go also to New Orleans, or you can go to Texas, wherever the case may be, like, or have multiple locations in Lafayette. So you have more opportunities, more drivers, more tech support. This builds more revenue for the company, but also expanding to make it more reassurance with it. I feel that's very important to understand. Now, the next part I'm going to be talking about is future implementations. So when it comes to future implementations, Waitr needs to expand its operations, but also they need to compete with competitors. So when it comes to competing with competitors, they need to understand that they cannot stay behind the times. I understand that they may feel like they're working well what they're doing, but they need to understand that a company revolves around the customer, not the company. I understand the profit goes to the company, but without customers, they make no profit. So if DoorDash and Uber Eats are doing something well, and customers are liking that, they should lean into doing that more. So they should learn how to keep up with the times and just keeping up to date with what customers want. And because of the pandemic, like I said, they need to adjust. Right now, people are about to go back to restaurants and they're going out more. So they need to swiftly adjust themselves to the restaurant scene. And the moment they do that, then they will expand 100%. Well, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed our project. And yeah, thank you so much.